Hey, John.
Hello, sir.
Baxter and Jonathan here at Casino Guitars.
Back again.
Back again. So, we've been on the phone all day with Fender Corp. Fender Corp, Fender.com, Fender everything, or just a guy named William Fender. I'm talking about why John Mayer left Fender. It's a mystery.
It was a mystery.
It was until this very moment.
That's right. Da-da!
That was exciting. I hope Derek can just make sounds.
I hope he does.
Instead of
having me going, da-da! Yeah.
No. So, who was you on a podcast with just the other day?
Jeff Ross.
Who's that?
He's a comedian.
Okay.
I believe he does lots of the Comedy Central roasts.
I think you're correct. If I was not so cheap and paid for cable, I probably would have seen some of those, but I don't do that.
That's cable. No one has cable.
I'm a Netflix guy and Amazon and HBO. Anyway, so John, as we all know, left Fender a few years back to go to this other guitar company called Paul Reed Smith.
That's the rumor. That's the word on the street.
Which is fun. All of us in the know this. It was fun watching the Ross podcast, the video, because he didn't really know what PRS was. Because
he's like the PR
Q.
Yeah.
He's probably just messing. He's a comedian.
Probably.
Hopefully he's done his homework a little better than we do.
He seemed slightly guitar knowledgeable.
A little bit.
Yeah.
He had the colors like the popcorn frizzle and all that stuff.
Chicken Parmesan.
Yes, chicken Parmesan. That was funny. But so watch the podcast. It's John talking about it. He developed the Silver Sky.
Yes.
A few years back with Paul at Paul Reed Smith. So from his podcast, what he's pretty much saying is that he left once the head of the Fender Custom Shop, Mike Eldridge, was let go from Fender a few years back. He was replaced by Mike Lewis, who was also an awesome dude. But let's get back to Mike Eldridge too. Super awesome dude as well.
I believe you have met him.
I've met Mike a few times. I met him before we were dealers even with Fender Custom Shop at a road show at Will Cut Guitars in Kentucky at some point. And I remember him sitting down and he spent like 20 minutes just talking to me about like Eric Clapton, because I was asking him questions. And
how cool is that?
It was pretty much the gist of the story was, Eric Clapton's pretty much just like you and I, except for someone who's never had to have a job since he was 16 or 17 and doesn't know how to drive a car and is perfect. Anyway, so Mike was let go from Fender, and Mike Eldridge, not Mike Lewis, he's still there and he's awesome.
Yes.
But and we don't really know why for sure. That's things shuffle around and happen.
Things change. And
I guess the gist of that, this is John talking, John Mayer, of course. There's other things that we're going to talk about as well. The gist of that is like he lost his guy that he could like call and sort of like, hey, let's try this and let's do this. Hey, let's throw in like a rosewood neck or something.
Yeah.
Sure, do it. And it became a much more corporate type of relationship where he didn't have a contact.
It's true.
Which is really weird when you're talking to John Mayer, I feel.
John Mayer.
It's John Mayer.
It's sort of like when I call you at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah,
we talk about stuff.
We do. We just talk about like the kissing booth too.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Whatever.
Important.
Whatever's going on.
But anyway, so Mike was gone. Like that's like John's buddy, and we've been working with these companies and corporations and businesses, the big ones, the small ones, for a few years. And it's when you lose someone, it's like losing an arm. It is. We had one of our favorite reps from one of the big companies got let go at one point. It really affected all of us. We were sad, and we called the CEO and all those guys, and like, yeah, sorry, but we had to, and they explained it. And we're like, still a bummer.
Because you get relationships with these people when you talk to them, and you're constantly in contact and working with them. Yeah,
this is not a real job. This is guitars. No. Like this is fun. Every bit of this is fun. Like, oh no, I have to like do some spreadsheets on guitars. Boo. Let's spec out another custom shop. Oh no, that's terrible sounding.
Let's make a video.
I know, about guitars.
About guitars.
so that's part of it. Now another part we can get into is the actual business side of things.
Yes.
So there's a life cycle with most Signature Series guitars within the custom shop or within the production cycle at Fender or any other major company. PRS has a different life cycle type, but most of the big companies, barring Slash has a new signature every year, it seems like 12 of them.
18.
Here's the Slash line. They have a factory dedicated.
Slash Plus Ultra.
Which is amazing. God, you use a Slash.
Is that a real
Strat.
thing?
No.
I don't know. Okay.
But anyway, so the business cycle was like, the John Mayer Signature Strats were not really like, they're not selling as much as they did back when he was like a pop star.
Right.
Even though I think he's way more amazing now in a lot of ways because he's just doing awesome guitar music and stuff.
His reach is maybe Smaller.
It's not as big in that, but then it's going to get bigger again, maybe.
Probably.
Who
Hopefully.
knows? Because of this whole time with Dead and Company,
Yes.
and people actually are absorbing his music at later points than just the pop cycle of old radio days.
Yeah.
Those are gone. Anyway, so that guitar is not like a big seller as much, and there's royalties paid to the artist for when they sell units usually. And so when he negotiated a deal with PRS, that's, you can work out better royalty arrangements too. Because we're talking about a bolt-on sort of guitar at PRS, the Silver Sky, very similar to a vintage-style Stratocaster.
A vintage-style 60s instrument.
That's what they call it. I can't even remember the exact wordage. And so there's probably a much better relationship, monetarily, but also artistically, which I think is the biggest pull for John.
Yeah.
So John's also a big fan of talking about he wanted to create a guitar for the future.
Yeah.
And not just, and Fender and Gibson, like they sort of live based on, the 1960s, the 1950s.
50s cars, 50s,
And
sure.
I think one of John's quotes was like, here's like our next version of the station wagon. Like he wanted to have the next version of the Tesla.
Right.
Or like, he didn't say Tesla, I just added that because I'm brilliant. But he's a forward-thinking guy, even though he was in Dead and Company, which is not really forward. I don't know. It's confusing.
I mean, we've heard them talk about John and Paul sort of like being in a room hashing things out for months over minute details, which I can see those guys enjoying each other in that way, just their personalities. I like to imagine them just hanging out, on the phone.
And spending hours talking about the specific wind ratio on each pickup. And yes, if anybody's been to like a PRS clinic and seen Paul,
then
you have a glimpse.
Yes.
And then if anybody's met John, like besides him being outrageously gorgeous and frustratingly handsome and talented, he's also a nerd.
Right.
And he's just a nerd in like really good looking skin and clothing.
Yes.
And hair. Okay, on to the next point. So the idea of like him switching over is kind of a natural evolution in a strange way, and the way corporations and companies work, and artistically, him wanting to be able to have control over an instrument and guide it. And like that's kind of his baby. Like it's.
I mean, that makes sense, because there were rumors when he first sent out that tweet that he was leaving Fender.
This was years ago.
Years ago, and to my knowledge, this is the first time he's come out and said, "Here's why I left."
Right. Oh, and there's rumors too. Like this is something we want to address too. Like there's rumors that John Cruz said something. John Cruz was a Fender custom shop, the master builder. He's no longer with Fender because of an offensive tweet. That's another video. Go check out our channel. But there's rumors that he said something offensive about John's then girlfriend, Jessica Simpson. That's not really true.
We watched the video this morning, and
so
didn't seem overly offensive.
He was saying nice things about she was a beautiful woman, and
which is true.
We're gonna put a link to that video in the description.
Although apparently her dogs peed on some guitar.
The dogs did. So you might have a John Cruz Masterbuilt with dog pee on it.
Anyway,
so those rumors, let's just nix those out of the.
Seems like that's not a thing.
No, so so what do you think? It's just like it seems like a logical, even though it's a sad progression. Because
it's a little sad because we love Fender
and I love John and Fender.
But I mean, you got to think of it from his perspective. I've been with this company, and here's a company who will let me sort of do what I want. I probably make more money with them. I definitely have more say in the vision and the image that's presented to the company. Yes, and like complete control almost. Complete control. So I think Paul would be someone who's like, yes, as long as it has Paul's stringent ideas of quality and perfection come out. And like, they are really good guitars. They are. I mean, I'm still a Fender junkie. Yes. It'd be hard for me. I just can't get the tuner on the headstock as well, so it's frustrating. But they have new tuners coming out just to do that. I think those are out now. There you go. But I'm exciting. Not really. No, but it seems to make sense. So importantly, what do you guys think? What if you've heard something else? Yeah. Put it in the comments. You might be enlightening us. We don't know. One of us will talk to you because we don't have a life. We don't. We just watch you. We watch our own videos. It's really weird. I don't watch our own videos. You don't just sit around and watch it. It's weird. I do. I get popcorn and watch this talk now. But yeah, please click subscribe or don't. But mainly watch the video and let us know what you think in comments. Yeah, that stuff. Hit the bell. Don't forget the bell. Shia LaBeouf. Do it. Just do it. Casino Guitars. See you next time. Signing out.